What would you do if on the happiest day of your life, you were dragged away in handcuffs? This is the shocking story of Sarah, a bride whose dream wedding turned into a nightmare. Stay tuned, because what saved her in the end will leave you speechless. Sarah, a gorgeous bride, stood before the mirror in the small sunlight bridal suit. The morning had started perfectly, the kind of day she had ever dreamed of when she was a little girl. The scent of lavender floated in the air, mixed with soft hum of excited voices outside. Her makeup was flawless, her gown elegant, flowing and sparkling in all the right places, making her feel like a queen. She reached up and gently adjusted her veil, her fingers trembling slightly. Butterflies danced in her stomach. She smiled nervously, then looked down at the banquet in her hands. It was beautiful. Everything was perfect. But deep down in her chest, everything felt off. A heaviness, like the calm before a storm. She shook it off. David, the man she was about to marry, was waiting just beyond those doors. Strong, kind, patient. He had been there through her toughest season. They had planned this day for months. Everything from the custom vows to the life quartet. Every detail was perfect. Her phone rang on the vanity. She glanced at it quickly. A message from an unknown number. Don't do it, he's watching. Her breath caught. For a moment, she stood frozen, staring at the screen. She felt her heart start to race. Who sent that? What did it mean? She shook her head, placed the phone down, and forced a smile. It was probably spam, some random prank. Nothing would ruin this day. The door pricked open. Her maid of honor walked in. They are ready for you, Sarah. It's time. Sarah nodded and stood up, holding her banquet tightly as she walked towards the garden path. Sunlight bathed the aisle in golden warmth. Rows of chairs were filled with loved ones, all standing to see her walk. Some smiled, some held up their phone to record the moments. Music played softly in the background. But then, something strange. A man in a black suit stood near the gate. He wasn't clapping. He wasn't smiling. He was speaking quietly into a phone, and his eyes were locked on Sarah. She tried to ignore him, focus on David, focus on love, focus on forever. David stood under the floral arch, looking nervous but happy. As Sarah approached, he mouthed, "You look amazing." She smiled back, her heart fluttering, her steps steady. But then, the music stopped. A piercing silence fell over the crowd. Two uniformed officers entered the garden. Their boots echoed sharply against the stone path. One of them raised a piece of paper. Sarah Collins. She turned, started. "Yes, you are under arrest for fraud and embezzlement. Please stepped forward. Glaps filled the air. People stood up. Phones dropped. Sarah's mouth fell open. What? No, no, this must be a mistake. I didn't do anything. David stepped forward. Wait, what is this about? This has to be wrong. There is no way. But before anyone could stop them, the officers took her arms and pulled them behind her. The cold handcuffs locked around her wrist. Sarah cried out, her makeup beginning to run as tears spring down her cheeks. Please, she begged, I swear, I haven't done anything wrong. This is my wedding day. The guests looked on in shock. Some began to whisper. A few took out their phones to film. The dream had shattered. The whispers turned into judgments. David just stood there, stunned, not moving, not speaking. His face was blank. Sarah's heart broke again. Not just from fear, but from the look in his eyes. In the back of the police car, Sarah snubbed quietly. The white lace of her dress twisted in the corner of the seat. Her mind spun. Who would have done this? Why? On my wedding day, Sarah cried. At the station, she was interrogated for hours. They showed her the documents, bank statements, forged authorizations, emails that looked like they came from her. Her name was everywhere. They said she had stolen over 200,000 US dollars from her former company. Money missing, transfers traced back to accounts in her name. But I have never touched those accounts, she insisted. I have never seen those emails in my life. The officers weren't convinced. That night, she sat alone in a cold holding cell, still in her wedding dress. Her mascara had ruined. Her banquets have been taken away from her, and her world had flipped upside down. Then her phone rang again. A message from another unknown number. It's James. I know what's happening. You were framed. I can prove it. James, her ex, the man she hadn't spoken to in nearly 2 years. Their breakup had been messy, painful. She didn't know whether to trust him, but what choice does she have? The next morning, Sarah met James at a quiet cafe near the station. He looked older, tired, but serious. I have been following this case, he said, sliding a thick folder across the table. Your old finance manager, Tavlo, he's the one behind all of this. I used to do IT for him. I kept backup of everything. Emails, audio recordings, even signatures he forged. He has been laundering money for months now and needed someone to take the fall. Sarah's hand trembled as she opened the folder. It was all there. Proof, dates, accounts, audio files. But why are you helping me? She asked, tears in her eyes. James looked down. Because I know I hurt you back then, but you didn't deserve this, and I couldn't just sit back and watch you be destroyed. Together, they went back to the police station. The evidence was overwhelming. The detective, who had once looked at her with suspicion, now looked at her with regret. An hour later, the charges were dropped. Sarah walked out, still broken, still bruised, but finally free. Back at the venue, days later, David stood in the garden. This time, there were no guests, no music, just him, waiting. Sarah approached slowly. He turned. "I never should have doubted you," he said softly. "I was scared, but I love you." Sarah looked into his eyes. There was pain there and love. After everything, she still loved him too. This time, there were no crowd, no decorations, just two people who had been through fire and were still standing. Weeks later, Sarah sent James a message. "Thank you. You saved my life." He replied, "You saved yourself. I just reminded the world who you really are." And with that, Sarah knew sometimes the people from your past, even those who once broke you, may be the one who would once save you.